Rosebush, I thought that was a very thought-provoking response, and it's got me thinking. But I want to come back and maybe give you something to think about and draw a little more out of you as far as your expectation. I thought you stayed on track, certainly, as far as expectations for a purposeful universe, where I kind of went into, hey, maybe the universe does or doesn't. I got into objects, etc., etc. However, unless I missed something, you really only gave two expectations for a purposeful universe, and the second one seemed to be basically dependent on your first expectation being, accurate, or actually the type of expectation that you had. Anyway, I'll proceed, and hopefully I'll make some more sense in a minute. Your first suggestion was that there would be a straight line, a discernible line between the origin of the universe in this case, but of the purposed object and its state, whether it's some point of its state along the way, or I think you're saying its state as we see it now, but you did address a little bit of what we can tell about the history of the universe. And then your second was then you would also expect a correcting mechanism, which I think that makes perfect sense in light of your first expectation. You certainly would think that there would be a need then to have control of that state along its way if the end state is your purpose. The thing I want to point out, though, is as I'm thinking about any kind of purposed object, nothing comes to mind right away that fits your expectation. And by that I simply mean, though the state of a purposed object I find to be typically important or significant, it's only because the state will be required to accomplish a result, or to allow for certain results, or for certain use, expectation, behavior, etc. But I don't see that it is typically the state along the way and the finished state are not the purpose of purposeful objects. And here's some examples. Well, and let me just mention entropy right off the bat. We basically know that nothing that we order by applying energy to draw matter together in a useful or intended state, it's not going to stay that way. So I think that limits the idea that the purpose is actually that state. However, I would say that in light of that, most purposeful objects, it's actually what they have the potential to yield, or what a result will be at any particular stage of its existence. Basically, as I suggested in my video, that it's going to be a result of behavior or a temporary use along its way. And an example I thought of was a firework. When you're making big one that's going to go off on a fireworks show, and it's going to explode, and it's going to provide a beautiful color and light and a big bang and the ooh-ah factor. But its end state, the firework is going to blow up. The casing is going to break into pieces. Whatever the substance inside, it's going to burn and change state completely into a useless state. And the pieces are going to fall. Gravity's going to take its effect. The pieces are going to fall to the ground, scattered randomly, much like the pencil video that you were showing us. And someone's going to come by and pick it up. Its purpose was not its state. Though the state was required to get the explosion and the light and the sound, etc. The entertainment value was actually the purpose of the object. A house, I thought, would be a good example of what I'm trying to say. If you tried to view a house as a purposed object based on its state, there's a lot of opportunity for you to miss it, because if you come too early in the course of its construction, and you look at the state of the house and try to discern that as its purpose, if your assumption or expectation would be a straight line to the state of that home, you might, I think you would likely miss its purpose. You would conclude no purpose unless you could predict the future. If you came too late upon a house, all of us know what the end state of our home is going to be. It's going to be rubble. It's not going to stand forever. It's going to disintegrate, and it's going to end up underneath dirt and earth. If you come upon a home, past its useful state, and you're into its decaying state, and you apply that same assumption, that expectation that you have for a purposeful object, in this case the universe, again, you're very likely to make a bad assumption which in your case would be no purpose at all. In someone else's case, I don't know what you might think the rubble was for. So just a thought, and maybe you can come back with some examples where I'm sure there are some, where art, no, that's entertainment still. Help me, give me an example where the state of the purposed object is its purpose, and that was it. I mean, again, I think help me. I mean, I saw your video as it gave that one expectation, but it was primarily an effort to say and support that there is no reason to think the universe has purpose. But I wanted to come back and say, well, all of that is based on the one expectation that I find to be the uncommon purpose of an intended or purposeful object. So, what do you think?